It's a good win. There's a lot of people. It's like Woodstock, except everybody's got their clothes on.
Don't eat a damn snack.
You're like my wife when you get in space. You just get lost.
It's ahead! Short steps are better than long steps. That's the only time in your life you're going to hear short is better than long. It's ahead!
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to 614 Headsets, the weekly football podcast where we say football is more than just a game, it's a lifestyle. Just yesterday, we had the amazing opportunity to go to the OHSFCA Clinic. We had a great time sitting down with some of the great coaches from across the state, and over the next couple of weeks, we're going to try to bring you some special segments that we titled 4 Quarters with some great coaches. Before we get into that, though, we have to mention our show sponsors who make all this possible, and the first one I want to talk to you about is Fundraising University. Fundraising University of Ohio offers a variety of fundraising efforts that helps football teams run profitable, effective, and fast-paced fundraisers designed to raise the most money in the shortest amount of time to reach your fundraising goals. Fundraising University of Ohio is locally owned, operated, and with their 6-step blitz system will help your team maximize profits. Brett Maxwell with Fundraising University will sit down and help you pick, plan, and strategize and execute your next fundraiser. If you're interested in us running a fundraiser for you, please contact Brent Maxwell at bmaxwell@fundraisingthelletteru.net or 740-501-8946. And our second sponsor, who we got to mention, is Storied Rivals. Storied Rivals Sports Media offers the most unique highlight experience available. Storied Rivals delivers your team's content with services designed to change the way you experience these unforgettable moments now and for a lifetime. Storied Rivals now offers a complete team apparel and player shop customizable to your program. Contact us by mail at info@storiedrivals.com to schedule an appointment with a member of our team. 2 great services, 2 great sponsors. As you head into this next off season, reach out to them to set your program into new heights in 2024. Without further ado, let's get into it. I hope you enjoy these next couple segments titled 4 Quarters live from the OHSFCA Clinic. Make sure you subscribe on YouTube and whatever platform you might listen to the podcast. And also make sure you go check out the home of 614 Headsets at www.614headsets.com. Check out all the great content we have on there. And maybe you can go and check out the lab. Enjoy the show. All right, we're back again, and the guests are lining up, and we have a fire guest today. We are in the presence of greatness. He made me say we have to call him Brad, but for the sake of it, I'm going to say Coach Burchfield of Bishop Hartley High School. Thanks for coming on, man.
The
We're
OG
excited to have you
in
on.
the game.
Thanks for having me. I love it. I listen to the show, and you guys do a great job. And it's evident how much you guys love football. I love football, and can't wait to talk some ball.
I can't wait. And you know what we need to do, though? We got to get Donovan going. Donovan, we're
Yeah,
going to let
Donnie,
you.
you're over there about to fall asleep, dude. Wake up. Wake up, Donnie.
We're
You get the first question. We'll give him the first question.
Before we start, hey, this is 4 Quarters with Coach Burchfield. We're here at the OHSFCA Clinic and having a great weekend talking football with everybody. Donovan, the biggest thing is everybody says you got to get going. So, Donovan, you got question 1.
Donovan, where are you from? Did you go to Gahanna?
Yeah.
What year did
Born
you
and raised
graduate?
2016.
Okay.
Yep, born and raised in Gahanna. Lincoln.
Before the Hawks and Lions tangled. We tangled there for a little bit.
Yeah. I grew up there, and my brother grew up there, and this is my 3rd year coaching at Gahanna. It's been a great time. Here's my question for you.
He was my first hire.
What's that?
Yeah, you're the first guy I called. I knew if I was going to hire anybody else to do the O-line, it had to be a big one.
Reconnect with Coach Stout in line, waiting for a Gahanna playoff game.
Doesn't he look like Stout's son, though?
No, you look, he's
Stand back here like
it's
it's
like
like it looks like his son.
You're old enough to be my
he's
guy.
hit the O-line coach.
Stout, no. See, he had to
Would
throw
it be an
that.
episode without an old comment? Go ahead, man.
I was going to say, you've been around Columbus football for a while. Not as long as Coach Stout, obviously, but what makes you excited? Like, everything with high school football feels like it's changing a little bit. The way that kids are, the way that, I don't know, maybe the way with recruiting has changed. Like, what makes you excited going forward for Columbus high school football as you've seen it throughout the years, how it's changed up to this point? Like, what makes you excited in comparison to maybe what it was 10 years ago or what it could be in the next 10 years?
Yeah, I don't know that I'm great at answering where it was 10 years ago. I've been here my whole life.
Yeah.
Really a couple square miles from everything from where I grew up, where I am now. But I don't get too much into the changes. I've been doing this a long time, and I'm going to do what I think is best. I'm going to do that's what I'm tasked to do by our school. And I believe in that. I think that's the most fun. I was listening to speakers in talking about changes and this and that. We still, I coached for 5 years at Centerburg High School, small rural, in the direct center of the state. And we still coach our program just like we did then. And I don't think I'm ever going to change that. And it's not going to be for everybody. Yeah. But people will come and go, but the logo doesn't change. And that's where the most fun is. And I know that's the most sustainable level of excellence that somebody can have. There's no question.
That's a fun part of it, right? I was like, as all that, everybody talks about change, like how speakers, how I just said it. Like everybody talks about change, and it's like fun part is staying true to who you are.
Yeah,
like,
I don't know who's changing. You mean the guys who just got into football 10 years ago? So this is the thing that I go through is as things change, I'll do the air quotes. I was here before, and God willing, I'm going to be here after. So as things come and go, the root of keeping it in center field, doing what's most important, what you do with the kids, coaching football, those are never going to change, and that's the most fun. And the secret is that's what the kids want long-term as well. They want something sustainable. Yeah. They want something that's meaningful. The glitz, the glamour, the people in their ear, that fades, and they all come back later and say, daggone, I wish I'd have listened to you. So we've had that experience years ago. We don't give into that experience anymore. So I guess long story short, the changes, we're going to fight to resist the changes at the sake of what is very best for the kids in the school always.
Yeah, I was, before Sarah's, I was fortunate enough, great family friends with the late Coach Greg Miller.
Sure.
And before I even knew I wanted to coach or coach Gehanna, to hear his stories from the decades of coaching. And yeah, like you got to change some things of how you communicate, but to hear how he's like, no, Coach Greg Miller was essentially the same guy he was when he started, and to hear that, it's, I don't know. You can.
I mean, you have to adapt a little bit. The
Yeah.
kids, I always use this. I'm a classroom teacher too, still a little bit. And that old adage, the kids haven't changed, the parents had. Yeah, that's not true. The kids now see a world on their phones that we never even dreamed of growing up. Like they see such fantastic fantasy, if that makes sense, that and it's now Johnny One-Upper, if that makes sense. So it's dangerous and it's fascinating and it's all these kind of things. So it has changed them. They see and they know things that we never even dreamed of seeing and knowing. So you have to adapt a little bit to that. But when they're there and the whistle blows, you're coaching football and trying to get them to play together as hard as they can. That's the most fun part.
Football is football in the end of the day.
So I was going to ask this, and this might be a tough question to answer, but obviously you've had so much success. You've won a state championship, the spot that every high school coach prays to get to and dreams about, right? For you, what in coaching, like what motivates you to do it every day? Is it the wins? Is it winning the state championship every day that you come to work? Or what's your why? What motivates you to wake up every single morning and go, is it, I want to win another state championship?
Well, sure, you want to do that. On the field, you absolutely want to do it. You'd be silly not to. You're trying to win every game. Yeah. And you try to remind people you're trying to score every time you have the ball. You're trying never to let them get a yard. Right. That's what you're trying to do. And we have a long mission statement that we've had for 22 years, and it's great, and it's building young men, and it's certainly what we believe in. And I tried to condense it here the last couple of weeks, honestly, after all my years. And we broke it down to what promise are we going to make to the parents and what promise we're going to make to the kids. And I think we got it down to one sentence, and it was, we're going to learn a lot and have a lot of fun while pursuing championships with great kids. And it hit the four things that you do. So winning is great. And this sounds really easy because we've won a lot that we just have, but it still hasn't. That's not the fulfillment of anything that you have. I'm more excited today than I was whenever we did that. And all the years we're close all the time. We either won it or we lose a close game real late. But those don't bring the fulfillment. Honest to goodness, the thing this sounds like coach speak, but when the season's over, that's the most sad part because you don't get to do what you were doing, the routines and the great enjoyment you had with the kids.
And you lose those seniors, and it just no matter what.
That happens when you win the state championship too. Like just the season's over, so you just want to play as long as you can. I think it's silly that people identify themselves with the pursuit of winning the state championship. I mean, on all the ones that we've won, we could have easily lost, and there were many that we didn't win that we could have won. But still, it's going to come down. I'm going to do a little name dropping during this. Is that all right with this?
Go ahead, man.
So Coach Elder at Avon, if you know his story, he's an inch away from winning the state title every year. They lost a real tight one to Hoban again this year. And he said, Brad, I'm just kicking myself. It came down to one play. And I said, of course it did. Every close game comes down to one play, but you could pick about 30 of those plays that were close plays. So it's a little silly to look at it this way. And the winning is never going to cure cure any hunger. It is the pursuit of doing it that you read in books and listen to podcasts, but it's the real truth. There's no amount of winning that does that.
The chase is always still there.
That's the most fun because, listen, we don't go in and not try as hard or work as hard because we won, because we beat Alter in 2016 or whatever the game was. Like, that's just not how it works. And that wouldn't be very much fun either. Like, what would you do later? I like to think our best days are ahead of us, and I believe that. And we're better and smarter and all that.
I got a great question. I came in with a long list of some possibilities, and just knowing Coach has been here for so long and he's been a part of the association. I know he helps put on this great clinic. What's one thing you look forward to at this clinic every year, or do you have a ritual? Like, I always do this.
Yeah, we sit in the front row. I learned this from, again, another name drop, Brian White, who was the best of all of us. He would sit in the front row in the center, and he took meticulous notes, and he attended every session. And I thought that's the way we did it. And so we sit to the left, and we sit in the same spot every time, and we have a table, and we get there early, and we take meticulous notes. They're well written, and I'm an English guy, so it fits my wheelhouse. Like, I think that's important. I'm not going to waste my time not trying to learn something. I like hearing from the high school guys more than anything. That doesn't mean that the college guys aren't neat and fun, but I'm not really a huge Ohio State fan. And the way our schedules mesh, I don't watch any college football because Saturdays are game planning intensive, and you're tired. So those two things together. So I'm not really into college football, diehard NFL guy, but not really college guy. But I'm really into the high school. I'm still a high school fan. I try to be a historian, try to know a little bit about everything, about everybody, and really admire those guys. Those guys are like true legends.
Yeah. That's awesome. Donnie, go ahead. You're going to go ahead and do the fourth quarter, since we're giving you 2 quarters this time, since you don't barely talk.
I got a good one. If you had to give a piece of advice to a young high school coach out there, and this is really for me, I'm my third year, I'm 26 years old. If you give me a piece of advice, if you could go back to when you were around my age or earlier in your coaching career, like, what piece of advice would you give me or give someone in my situation?
That's a good question.
I would say I would give you probably a couple that all tie together. Be humble. Like, I wanted to be a head coach. The minute I graduated college, it was done playing. I knew because I knew everything. I knew what plays we should run and what to do and all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to be a head coach right away. And I was nowhere near ready. So
same here. 24, I was not ready. I was same spot. Coach.
I still don't know.
I'm going to be honest with you. I got my first head coaching job, and I don't think I even knew anything about coverages yet.
Yeah. Listen, there's many things.
I knew nothing about offense yet.
That kind of goes to my next part is be patient, but be humble too. Know what you don't know. And me being old and having done it for a while, there's so much stuff that I don't know, and the game's constantly evolving. And I know you're talking with Coach Varney about relationships with kids. Like, those relationships are ever changing, and you've got to constantly evolve to build those great relationships. And it's going to be different 3 years from now than it is now. So I think be patient. It is just as much fun doing what you're doing now than it is having to return text at 2 a.m. last night, right? Because there's always constantly something that needs dealt with, and you're the boss. But also be humble. Like, what snaps people, when I see the people that have left, got out of coaching, maybe not very humble. They didn't expect it to be so hard and so unrewarding, because a lot of stuff's unrewarding. The field and the kids are what's rewarding. But be humble and probably have a little bit of a sense of humor too. Maybe that's 3. A little bit of sense of humor.
That's great. That's great points.
The humble, that's the biggest thing. I think I learned that early on, man. I went in with my
Who
head.
wants to admit they suck? But we all do.
I go in with my hair on fire at 24. I'm like, I'm going to go win the city. Not even close.
Same thing.
Even close.
I came in and wasn't humble.
Then I wasn't either. I got humbled by being there and losing. Like Barney said earlier on his podcast, right? Like, you don't know how to coach football until you're 0-20, or you have lost 20.
I don't know now. I don't.
Yeah,
there's still things.
Everything changes.
Where we lost the things that changed, but it's so encompassing. It's hard to cover everything too. Game we lost deep in the tournament this year. Man, it was something we should have done better. It was like we could have coached better.
And the funny thing is, them parents are yelling at you in the stands like you wanted to lose. No, I just watched 14 hours of film. There ain't no wanting to lose.
I don't get anger even. Like, it goes in one ear, out the other. Because people love their children and they want to win every game. And it goes back to what I said a little bit ago.
Do you wear a headset on the sideline?
Sometimes. It all depends.
I swear, when you were playing a game live, I was watching it, and you didn't have a headset on.
That's
and I'm like,
Paterno style.
It depends on what everybody's saying.
I'm like, like, Burchfield don't got a headset on?
Listen,
What's going on?
Sometimes I take mine off too, so I don't hear everybody.
No, but it
I
was
had enough of it.
I'm talking it was the whole game, though, because you were playing at ODU, and you guys were on TV.
I've gone years where I have. I've gone years where I haven't. Because listen, everybody's good and everybody is well-meaning, but sometimes what snaps me a little bit is Billy wasn't in the right spot, blah, 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 and then I watched, and I'm Billy, and then you watch it on the sideline, and Billy was in the right spot. So
Yep.
I was okay with that. So I just don't want to. And our coordinators and my assistants or my staff is tremendous. They know what they're doing. They don't need my 2 cents worth, and I'm more of a defensive guy, which is more of watching what's going on them. There's really not something that somebody's going to tell me beforehand. Right. Much different than the communication that's going on offense. It's sometimes I've done a bad job and I've complicated things, so I try not to do that. But I wore it this year again. It's been a couple years, but somebody snapped me and I took them off, and then I put them back up. But everything changes.
Coach, who's week 1 this year coming up?
Big one with Elyria Catholic, so we renew that, and then
I heard you got a Northeast Ohio opponent in Ursuline.
We play
this
a ton
year,
of them. So week two, Ursuline's coming down. We played them 2 years ago, or 2021. We had a good team. They obviously had a good team. We're state runner-up, I think, and they beat us 61-58. Game might have just ended a little bit ago. Then the schedules didn't match up, so now they're back on, and probably a game we should be playing forever, and it's going to be really tough.
It's going to be a great game. I'm from Youngstown. That's it.
Tough.
I don't like Ursuline, though, so you better beat them.
We're going to try to score every time we get the ball, and we're going to try to
never let them every time they get the ball.
Let them get a yard.
Yeah.
But he's a great coach, and
Coach Reardon does a great job.
I know you're talking about schedules a little bit. Do we have time for me to talk about this?
Sure, go ahead.
And there's no secret. I'm going to get canceled on this podcast, but Central Ohio isn't as good at the state level as other parts of the state. This is a mathematic thing, and I don't know the exact reason for it. I think there's probably a couple, but I know that the thing that's been hard for us is playing 7 non-league games. I heard the new Westerville South coach, he was complaining about trying to find 1 game. Like, imagine trying to find 7 non-league games. And
just so the viewers know, Coach Callan is sitting in the background right now.
Without a mic to defend himself.
The only people that are going to play you are people that probably think they're going to beat you, right? Nobody's signing up for
into that.
All that kind of stuff. But you only have to run into 3. 7 is a lot different. And weeks 7 and 9 are tremendously different than weeks 1, 2, and 3. It says teams are better. Teams are there's just injuries occurred. It's a different factor.
That's so true too.
I think that when you play somebody who's at the state level, you realize they're playing at a different velocity. That was the word I gave. You remember when Notre Dame got doggy walked by Alabama in 2012?
Yep.
And we had a kid to play for Notre Dame, and they said it was just a different velocity. I said, "You mean faster?" "Yeah, velocity." I said, "You mean stronger?" He said, "Brother, I said velocity. It's strength and power. Like they bring it different." And that's how the teams that are winning state championships do. And I think that water finds its own level. So if we only played team in our league that's not very good every week, we would be at that level. There's no question. So us being able to, you look at the teams that have been at the state level. Waterson was there this year. DeSales was there a couple years ago. We were there a couple years before that. There's no accident. Like they're playing Chardon, and they're playing Walsh, and they're playing Ursuline, and they're playing Toledo Central Catholic. And on
You're not getting a week off.
And nobody wants to play those teams. You think we called Toledo Central Catholic, say, hey, we want all the smoke. No, but it makes you better. It makes you better.
That's going to be an exciting
the schedule's hard.
Season to watch. I can't wait to watch it.
I'm excited. I love following Coach Burchfield.
For sure.
An OG, really.
You guys do a great job.
Coach, we can't thank you enough for coming on.
And he lives in Canal, though. This man runs around Canal more than anybody else.
We say try.
I'm sitting. It might be 5:30 in the morning. I'm rolling out to go somewhere on a Sunday or something. I go to the gym or something, and Burchfield just running right in front of my house, and I'm just loving it. No, full sprint, about 4.740.
That's a 4.7.
I can see Coach with the old school CD player Walkman and Rocky just blasted in the background.
He's got the hoodie on, the old school hoodie. It's ripped up, just straight animal.
He's got that Bill Belichick vibe to
I love
it.
It's straight animal.
Coach, I want to appreciate you. Good luck in 2024, and thanks for everything you've done for football over the years.
Thank you,
Great
Coach.
Job.